Good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday, happy Wellness Wednesday. So excited to be here. I wonder what's in your cup this morning. This morning I have pre-workout because when I get done here, I'm going to go for a run, even though it's almost 70 degrees out this morning and it's kind of warm for this kind of year. So, Wellness Wednesday, my name is Donna. If you don't already know me or if you're just stumbling on my page, Wellness Wednesday is a little weekly live that I started in hopes that we could get together to share tips on general wellness because it's such a broad topic and such a great topic, and there's so much out there that we can share with each other about paths to wellness and ways to wellness. So it is my hope that watching this will help you in some way. And if it does, if you have topic ideas for the next time, please feel free to message me, drop them in the comments. And if it really helps you, then absolutely feel free to share. So happy Wednesday, happy Wellness Wednesday. This is Wellness Wednesday installment number 5. I can't believe this is my 5th one already. And today's topic is give selfishly. Now, if that's not an oxymoron, if you've ever heard it, right? A little bit contradictory, but there is a method to my madness, and I'm going to explain myself. So the giving season is upon us. Last week I talked about the eating season, but the giving season is definitely upon us. And sadly, and I say sadly because that's my opinion, giving always ramps up over the holidays, and that's wonderful. I would never complain about giving ramping up, but here, you know what? I think I need to, let me see here. Nope, I did that wrong. Okay, sorry about that. Good morning, Eric. So good morning, Miss Trish. So giving always ramps up during the holiday season. In fact, most nonprofits, 44% of nonprofits, according to one study, see the vast majority, 25% or more of their donations between October and December of each year. Now, some of that is because people are trying to get some extra tax write-offs in at the end of the year. And a lot of that is just because people feel more generous and more giving when they're full of holiday cheer. And the reason that I say that's sad is because it should be like that all the time. So you're probably wondering what I mean when I say give selfishly. So I want to talk about that. There are so many ways to give, and you can do these kinds of things every day, once a week, whatever. I have a mentor that teaches something called Wealth Wednesday, actually, and that's where every Wednesday he encourages those that follow him to go out and do a random act of kindness, usually involving a gift of cash in some way, because it helps with their money mindset. And that was something I was actually already doing, sort of intermittently. And then once I started following him, I started doing it more regularly. So let's talk about why. Why would you give and what makes it selfish? And I'm going to explain that in just a minute. For me, it's completely selfish because giving makes me feel good. So there's plenty of studies that show depression, if you're having issues, focusing on somebody else or helping somebody else definitely improves your outlook and your depression and your outlook over a situation. So let's talk about why. I have 5 reasons here. These are from an article I can't talk this morning. I can't make words. Berkeley University. And let's start here. So number 1, giving makes us feel happy. A 2008 study by a Harvard business school professor found that giving money to someone else lifted participants' happiness more than spending it on themselves. I know that's hard to imagine, especially if you're strapped for cash. But truth be told is even when my budget was the tightest, sticking $1 in the Salvation Army bell ringer bucket often made me feel better. It made me feel like I was doing something good, even if it wasn't very much. Now, if you read the Bible at all, and I won't get too much into religion because that can be a really touchy subject. Everybody has different beliefs, and I hope at some point we can embrace all of those during the process of Wellness Wednesday. But the Bible talks about giving what you can being just as important as the next person giving everything, you know, if this person gave $1 and that was all they had, then that's as important as somebody else that gave 10% of their millions. So there is definitely always been a relationship with giving, making us happy and making us feel better. Even though the participants in that study predicted that they would feel better if they spent the money on themselves, that's not actually what happened. In fact, another study was done. A professor of psychology in California saw similar results when she asked people to perform 5 random acts of kindness each week for 6 weeks. So it doesn't have to just be about money, y'all. Random acts of kindness go a long way, sometimes even longer. There's something about giving that activates the regions of the brain associated with pleasure. And that includes social connection and trust, which they calls what they call, or creates what they call a warm glow effect. And scientists also believe that kind of behavior increases endorphins in the brain, which produces a positive feeling known as the helper's high. So that's number 1 reason to give. Giving is good for our health. Number 2, studies have shown, including a professor of preventative medicine reports that giving to others has been shown to increase health benefits in people with chronic illnesses. I absolutely believe that to be true, for the short term and the long term. If I go through a drive-through and I pay for the person behind me, in fact, sometimes if I'm having a bad day or I'm feeling particularly foul, I purposely go through a drive-through and pay for the person behind me, because sometimes it makes me feel so good. You know, sometimes I look in the rearview mirror when I do it, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't want I don't want thanks, and I don't want recognition when I do things like this. But sometimes I look in the rearview mirror, sometimes I don't. When I do, I often see looks of surprise. I have seen looks of pure joy, just because it was such an unexpected thing. And that makes me happy. It makes me feel good to go out there and do things, especially if I can kind of do them quietly or a little bit in secret. Now, paying for the person behind you in the drive-thru is often one of the biggest things that people talk about. And I saw a story not long ago that made me really sad, and I've actually seen it before. Every time I see it, it makes me really sad. And it's some people post about, if you're paying for the person behind you at Starbucks, you're wasting your money because they can already afford it. And I want to address that. That's one of, because I do a lot of the behind me and drive-through type things. So the reason I want to address that is the point of giving is not about whether or not the person behind you necessarily needs it financially. The purpose of giving is to make others feel good, and that then reflects back to you and makes you feel better. So if we are judging the person behind us in the drive-thru, excuse me, morning allergies, if we are judging the person that's behind us in the drive-thru by the car they're driving or whatever, as to whether or not they deserve to have us pay for them, then good morning, Senator Simpson, then we are absolutely missing the point of the random act of kindness. The random act of kindness isn't about what the person behind us is driving, isn't about what the person behind us is wearing, what kind of phone they have in their hand. The point of it is a mindset point, which is that we are doing a random act of kindness. And if you're in the drive-thru, it just happens to be for the person behind you. They may be driving a Mercedes, but if they are having a bad day, they could also be sitting behind you in tears, and you might not know it if you can't see clearly in the front window. So that is what the random act of kindness is about. It doesn't matter if you're in Starbucks, Chick-fil-A. It doesn't matter where you are. And it doesn't matter if they can afford it. It is about doing something to show them that there are good people out there. And like I said, they could be driving the most expensive car on the road. If they're having a bad day, that simple act might change it for them. And that's what the giving is about. That's why it's good for our health. That's why it's good for us. And that's why it increases those endorphins that we love so much, right? Okay, so I'm looking at my notes here. And number 3, giving promotes cooperation and social connection. And that's kind of where the community thing comes in. If you're giving, it doesn't necessarily have to be financially. You could be giving to your favorite charity, or you could be giving time to your favorite charity. And it gets you out there, and it gets you meeting new people, and it definitely promotes an overall feeling of well-being. So that is why it's not just money that's important, and it's not just random acts of kindness that are important. If you can find time anytime during the year, not just the giving season, get out there and help with a charity, give time. One of my favorites is the Citrus Construction Academy. We take our mobile shop class out to events, and we take it out to like the Boys and Girls Club, and we promote trades and help the kids get their hands on, just get a hands-on experience, what it's like to work with a few tools, to work with their hands. And it is amazing. And watching the looks on their faces when they learn about these things makes my heart happy. So that's one of the ways that giving time in a local organization of your choosing, or at a local event of your choosing, can really, really make a big difference. And like I said, it increases that social connection. Good morning, Victoria. It increases that social connection, increases that general feeling of community. Number 4, and I'm almost done. I promise I won't take up too much of your time. Giving evokes gratitude. And when we are grateful for what we have a better perspective on everything around us. It can be a way of expressing gratitude as well. For example, I had a friend, good morning, Vicky. I had a friend just recently that did me a huge favor. She did it out of the goodness of her heart. She didn't want any thankful. She didn't want any payment. I just happened to be out of town when a really big thing was going on, and she was beautiful enough to step in and take care of it for me. It was a volunteer event. And it took me a little bit because I wanted to find just the right thing that I thought would help her the most. But last night I was able to give her a gift. And she kind of looked mad at me at first. She was like, you already said thank you. I don't need anything. And I said, I know, but this makes me feel better. So if you're starting to understand why I use the term give selfishly, that is why. Because you will find if you start to make a regular practice of this, it does become selfish. And it's not because you're expecting to get anything back, except that wonderful feeling that you get when you feel like you're impacting someone's life in some way, whether it's financially, whether it's through time, through volunteering, through a simple gift of gratitude. You can't possibly understand how it can make you feel until you actually start doing it. And most of all, giving is contagious. When you give and you impact somebody's day like that, you change their day, or you make them feel grateful for something they've had, it has a ripple effect. You donate to a local charity on Facebook, and people see that, they are more likely to do that themselves. It is just incredible the way that it can kind of take off. You pay for somebody behind you in the drive-thru. They're so excited and so surprised that they pay for the person behind them. Sometimes there's just long chains of that happens in any drive-thru. And remember, what they're driving or what they look like is not important. The point is to do something nice for a stranger that's going to change their day. Okay, so that is why I say give selfishly. We are in the giving season, but if you try to make this a practice all the time, even the smallest gestures, you will just be amazed. Ducks. Let's talk about ducks for a minute. I ducked my first Jeep the other day. Here's another great example of how giving can just promote a general spirit of cooperation and good feelings. Those that have Jeeps know that there's this thing called ducking. Most of you know this. And you actually people actually stick rubber ducks on your Jeeps. Sometimes they don't have tags. So if you've gotten a duck on your Jeep and you didn't know what the heck what it was, this is what it is. It is a random act that is intended to make people smile. If you are a Jeep owner and you get a duck, that's because somebody thought you had a great looking vehicle and they wanted to make you smile or make you feel better by sticking this cute little rubber duck on your vehicle to recognize it. So that's just another example. So if you're a Jeep owner and you don't, and if you're an older Jeep owner, you may be tight on cash and you may not have a lot to throw around. I'm not going to lie. Good morning, Kelly. Put a duck on the Jeep. It's amazing how much it can make people smile, especially me. I own Cherokees. The first time my Cherokees got ducked, I didn't think that people ducked Cherokees. It made my day. So that is just another example of crazy, silly things you can do to give. Be cautious about leaving things on people's vehicles, because there are some safety warnings out here about that right now. But a duck is probably totally okay, a little rubber duck, if that's what makes you feel good about making somebody else feel good. So I may have been a little all over the place in the morning, because sometimes what's in my head just kind of comes out in a jumble. But the point of this is, it is the giving season. And even if it's not the giving season, these are simple little things. There are so many things. You can reverse shoplift. You can stick money in under the lid, the can of formula, $5, $1. Imagine what it's like for the person on the receiving end of that to get that kind of surprise. So don't just do it during the giving season. Do it all the time. And remember not to judge the person behind you that you're paying for, or not to judge yourself. But give selfishly. Get out there, do a random act of kindness, make a donation, volunteer your time, and I promise you it will feel selfish when you're doing it to make yourself feel good. But it's not. It's the best thing you can do, and it takes your focus off of yourself and puts it on others. So I hope you found that helpful. If you found that helpful on this Wellness Wednesday, please feel free to share it. Please feel free to drop wellness-related topics or message me about something you'd like me to talk about in the future. And I hope you all have a fabulous Wednesday. Thank you so much. Bye.